it can be very stabilizing. It can make you angry if you've been a therapist for many years and all these kids got amputated and I tell you some of these things. It can make you angry. It can make you question everything you've ever known or done. So you'll get to be in this stage, okay? We come in with this idea of, okay, these kids are gonna be amputated or they're gonna be treated X, Y, Z, okay? And then I give you this information that's like, well, but there's ABC that can treat them as well, okay? And I hope at the end that you're coming up here with a reorientation, realizing there's other things that can be done. I'm all about evidence medicine, but guess what? If that's what you always are at, if you only do what's already been done, you're never going to move forward. So you have to take some of the basics of evidence-based medicine and then think outside of that box a little bit, okay? If serial casting works for hamstrings contractures on kids with CP, will it work for kids with arthrogryposis? If Ponseti casting works for kids with club feet, can you do the reverse for kids with vertical talus? Okay, this is a little girl, and by the way, our families that have shared and their faces are up there, they're very proud to be in our presentations. They don't want to be, so I leave their faces. If their faces is blocked out, there's a different, anyhow. But this is a little girl. She has congenital femoral deficiency. She came to our center. Her family actually moved to West Palm Beach from Connecticut. We have a lot of families that move because they're going to have repeated bouts of either surgery or therapy. And it's just easier to live here, and they want to live close to our center so that they can get the care they need. So this is the mom snapped these photos the night before her stabilization surgery, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Just out of, it just occurred to her. And when I was putting some of these lectures together, she sent it to me. She wanted it to be included. This is the shoe lift that this little cutie learned to walk on. Can you believe that? I don't think I could walk on that. But she would be running down the halls in the shoe lift. So what is congenital femoral deficiency? It is a rare defect, formerly known as proximal femoral focal deficiency, where there's a lack of integrity of the hip and the knee, which is a deficiency, a malorientation or malrotation of the femur with soft tissue contractures, which is a deformity, and there's a femoral shortening. There are a multitude of classifications, which we'll talk about as well. The incidence of this is about 1 in 40,000 for a unilateral congenital femoral deficiency. We call it CFD, and that's what I'm going to call it moving forward, because the other is a mouthful. All right, so with bilateral CFD, and there are folks with bilateral, the incidence is about 1 in a million. And with those associated with fibular hemimelia, it is about 1 in a million as well. All right, the etiology is not known. There does not seem to be a hereditary component for those with unilateral. However, when it's a child with bilateral CFD, there's often some type of hereditary component. There are some toxins that we know create this. You guys are way too young to have ever witnessed anybody with thalidomide malformations, but I'm hoping you've heard of it. Okay. Look it up, please. Thalidomide. It was a drug given in early pregnancy back in, I think it was the 50s, early 60s. I believe it was not approved in the US, but it was approved in Europe, and it was for nausea. And these babies came out with horrible deformations. So please look that up and have an idea. We do know that thalidomide can create CFD as well as focal deficiency of all of the limbs. Somebody's Googling, right? Okay. So we're going to talk about classifications of CFD. Dr. Paley has put together classifications